Star Wars The Last Jedi. A very controversial film, among fans at least. I thought I'd weigh in on it. I think overall, I really enjoyed the movie. I said, and I would give it an 8.5 out of 10. But that being said, I feel like I really understand the criticisms. Some movies I really like and people didn't like, right? And I don't really see what people had problems with. But this movie, I feel like I understand the criticisms and I get it, but I still really liked it. I think the criticisms of it were more if you're looking at it as a Star Wars film and as a sequel. And I think specifically as a sequel, it really fails. I think it's a horrible sequel, but I think it's a really good movie. And I say that because I think Rian Johnson clearly didn't care about a lot of the stuff J.J. Abrams set up with The Force Awakens. I feel he really only cared about Rey, Ben Solo, and to a certain degree Luke. But Luke also, JJ didn't lay that much groundwork with him, so maybe that's a big part of why he actually, did something with that character. I feel like every other character was an afterthought. Sad to say, but Princess Leia included. It's a very sad situation, but I feel like he did a bad job with her character. She was in a coma for most of the movie. She had that one cool, Mary Poppins moment or whatever. Besides that, purple hair lady had more to do. And I know a lot of people had some serious problems with the Canto Bite stuff with Finn and Rose's adventure. I personally still don't know how I feel about it. It's very odd. I don't know if I liked it, and I don't know if I had a problem with it still, even watching all these reviews. So I can't really speak to that, but I can speak to that, I do feel that story didn't really contribute to any overarching plot within Star Wars. Because they did ultimately accomplish nothing. I felt like it was just busy work. Because Finn was a big part of The Force Awakens, so Rian Johnson had to include him in the movie, and he couldn't think of any meaningful way to include him, so it was just let's take him away from the action and just give him this really ultimately meaningless story. I thought it really didn't serve the overall movie. Definitely not the overall trilogy or just Star Wars in general. It could have been a comic book, and I think that would have been fine, but to put in the movie, it didn't do anything. I also understand the criticisms of what they did with Snoke, which I get. You do kind of expect him to be this emperor figure of these trilogies, and they just kill him, halfway through this movie. And that I didn't have as much of a problem with as something else, which we'll get to later, Rey's parents. And that's because I think that it would be kind of boring in a way if we just did this whole thing of, dude with a mask works for disfigured creature, and then in the third movie turns good and works against the disfigured creature. So I thought that it was actually kind of powerful that they just killed him off, and it shows, almost a certain level of ruthlessness. Now, him being the only meaningful death in the movie, or at least the only death of a character that we kind of cared about or knew. I mean, maybe Laura Dern, but I do feel like that's a problem. With Rey's parents, I get that criticism. We also do have to be open to the possibility that Kylo was lying. But if they are really nobodies, I feel like, yes, that's very disappointing. And during that movie, I really thought that she was gonna be Ben's sister, but for her parents to just come out as drunks that we've probably never heard of. I guess they could be nobodies to him and then maybe be like somebody from the EU, but as far as we know, we don't have any confirmation. And I think that's disappointing because that was like the biggest question of The Force Awakens. And I just feel like that was the number one question coming out of The Force Awakens. Like, hardcore Star Wars fans and casual people, I feel like that's the one question that they were asking. And, they just kind of dismiss it. It's a throwaway thing. And I think a weakness of the movie. And that's why I think it's a poor sequel. But just as a narrative decision, I think it does kind of go to the overall theme of like the rebirth of the Jedis, ending with the kid that grabs the broom and, showing that despite the title of the movie, we're not at the Last Jedi and there's more coming. But anyways, that's my feelings on the movie. Comment below, tell me if I suck, if I didn't get it, or if you actually agree with me and see what I said is valid. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.